Right, welcome to another Unbagging. And again, this is a card game. Something normally I wouldn't touch with a barge pole, but I'd have been wrong. Because this game is fantastic. I've played it now 3 times with different scenarios, homemade scenarios. I haven't done none of the ones in the book yet, but it's excellent. You get all the decisions you have to make. Have the aircraft got enough fuel? I'm fighting fires on board the carrier. Will the strike force get through? And more importantly, will the enemy strike force get through? Have I got cap up? What points can I place on strike, and what can I place on repairing the ship, saving the ship? So this is the Fires of Midway. It's a card game. It used to originally come in a box, but for whatever reason, they stopped doing it in a box and they put it in a gigantic Ziploc baggie, and it is a big bag. So, what do you get in it? Well, let's quickly look at the flight manual. This is the where you should start, basically. This is a walkthrough of the game. It shows you everything's laid out, tells you what everything is, the game setup, etc. Strategy phase. It's all black and white, man, but that's fine. I think the original book was colour when it was in a box, but carrier turn, sortie phase, engagement phase, positioning your cap, aerial combat, bomber phase, goes through everything in order, the resolution phase, because you have to go through all these phases, admiral's phase, then the end phase, and some useful bits and pieces on the back. That's the flight manual, and the games I've played, I've gone through this just to refresh me a little bit, so what I think, what do I supposed to do now? What can and can't that do? And this all it just tells you. And of course, you do have the operations manual, which is the proper rules. Plus, it's got all the scenarios in, design notes. So there's the 4 main scenarios that come with this game. So you've got the Battle of the Coral Sea, Midway Island, Eastern Solomons, and Santa Cruz. And there's a couple more scenarios, or what-if scenarios, like what if a couple of carriers had gone to the aid of Wake Island, etc. You get these. This is a play mat for the American player, where he puts his cards, his discard piles. It tracks his victory points and various other things on here, plus it's a little bit of an aid memoir, single-sided. Of course, the Japanese get one exactly the same. There's another one here which is used by everybody, where you send ships or aircraft to the watery grave. Again, single-sided. And the final piece what you need is this map here. This is, put it down here, you better see it better. This is the search map. Basically, the US carriers come on in one or more of these spaces, and the Japanese come across from there. Now, these spaces can have low cloud in them, they could have squalls, and that all affects the movement of your aircraft and the ships as well, of course. And you're trying to get to grips with it, manoeuvre into the best position you can get. Now, I've been just showing you them boards. I'll just quickly grab these, because this board I downloaded from Board Game Geek. Now you can see this one's got numbers in it. So now, by playing solo, I can, instead of having to put markers where I want, the dice will decide where they go. And the player cards are slightly different. We have mini cards now, mini decks. So the Japanese, if you're playing the American player, the Japanese player will get one of these. So he'll always have a card, what he can play. And you don't have to decide as the other player. It's truly solo. And so if you do it for the Americans, you do that one. And the only rules differences for the solitaire rules is just two sides. Otherwise, it's standard rules. And I've not used this yet. I've only just recently found it and downloaded it. But that's going to make it even better. Right, let's get down to some of the other components. Right, we get cards. These are huge cards for the ships. So we've got Wasp. It tells you, you track the damage along here. When it gets to a certain point, you have to flip her. And you see things get worse and worse as she goes along until eventually she'll slip down below. So there's Wasp, Hornet, Enterprise, Yorktown, Saratoga, Lexington, Midway Island, because it acts like a carrier in that scenario. You've got Midway Island, but you could use this card to simulate Wake Island or any other island you wanted. Then we've got the Japanese, we've got the Shoho, which was a lighter carrier, I believe, Zuiho, Junyo, or Yunyo, Ryuho, Zuikaku, Shokaku, Soryu, Hiryu, Kaga, and Akagi. So, lots of carriers on both sides. Now, those of you, like me, who watched the Final Countdown movie and were really annoyed by the ending, well, the designer of this game, he put a little twist in and he's give you the Nimitz. So now, Admiral Nagumo and his carrier strike force on its way to Pearl Harbor may well be in for a shock, because the Nimitz arrives with its Tomcats, its Corsairs, and an intruder. Two intruders actually in this one. Now, Owen's gonna love doing that, So that's just a little extra fun aside, and it does say in the rules that this is just a fun extra and not to be, you wouldn't use this normally, but you can now fight out that battle that they robbed us of. Cards, we get American combat cards and Japanese combat cards, which you're playing all the time. You have various things. You've got the two Admiral cards, a bluff card, which you don't use solo, and then you've got cards for ship cards. You've got cockpit cards, which do various things. A lot of these cards are multi-uses. And you've got attack cards, bombing cards, all sorts. Excellent. I'm not doing this justice, but if you want to see a really good playthrough of this game, there's a guy called Single-Handed Warfare on YouTube. And he does a playthrough, and he also does a nuts and bolts scenario, and it's excellent. Right, then let's have a look at some of the aircraft here. So you've got, like the ships, you've got a damaged side and a fully operational side. So we've got Cape bombers for the Japanese. The C and B, it just tells you which carrier, whichever you're using, that's their part of their flight. So there's no mystery about the A or B. you've got vowels, and of course we've got zeros. For the Japanese, for the US, we've got Wildcats, plenty of them to go around, Dauntless, Devastator, Avenger, Marauder, Vindicators, and some Buffaloes. So plenty of cards there. You also have these Search and Destroy, and this is only used at the beginning of the phase where we're searching for each other's fleets, and it's the first one to find a certain number of cards. And these cards are multi-use. Depending on what you're doing, you might be looking at this part, you might be looking at this side. Get rid of them. So you're searching for, if you find an enemy fleet, that's what you're looking for, because you've got to find. Whoever finds, there's only 3 of these. Whoever finds the 3rd one, they get the initiative. This is used for something else during the closing phase of when your air wing's on its way in to attack the enemy, and it's about using fuel. And this is used, you can see these spouts, these are torpedo hits. You can use this as a card, or the explosions are bomb hits, and this one's a critical hit. So they've got multi-uses, so you see the enemy fleets are all together. Escort spotted, wake spotted. This one, you see there's two gas cans there, which means that's bad if you're attacking, because it means you're using more fuel, and your plane may arrive in a damaged position. You can get ready cap cards. They might just find empty ocean in the search. That's them. Now the counters, the nice big counters to fit on the map. Well, those people get into the bag. Alright, so you can bring B-17s into the game. They've got 2 sides there. On that search map I showed you, these are the things like the squall or low clouds, and they will affect movement and the speed of your aircraft. This is your confidence level and marker. We won't go into all this, but let's just say that it's excellent. It's not complicated, and then on your ships, put them out there because I don't want them getting mixed up. When you do take damage, for instance, let's have a Cargi here. Running out of space, aren't I? There's the Cargi. She may get a leak, which with another hit may turn into a flood, or she could get she could be on fire, which can turn into an inferno. And they can have a number of these on the ships, and all the time, oh there it is, that's what I was looking for, there's a bulkhead marker which lives on the bottom here, and every time your ship takes hits, it moves across, and eventually when you get to here and start taking hits, you flip the card to the damage side. These carry on, these just stay with you, and the problem with infernos is at the end of each ship's turn you've got to do test for an explosion. So I suppose it represents like one of these infernos getting close to the aviation fuel and all that type of thing, and you've got a huge explosion, which of course then causes more damage. Returning aircraft that are damaged, landing on the flight deck, they can crash, they can cause fires. This really is, I aren't doing injustice honestly, but this is a fantastic game. It's so immersive, and it's once you've got the rules down, and there's not a lot of rules, believe me, it's just a simple follow the sequence of play. It looks complicated at first, but it's not. Even I got it within, after my first playthrough, thought, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing now. So the second playthrough was a lot smoother, a lot faster, and a lot more enjoyable. There's a lot of scope for this game. I've got a lot of playthroughs to come with this because it's actually fast becoming my favourite board game. Well, it's not a board game really, is it? But it's fast becoming my favourite game. It's that good. I really can't give it enough praise. But as I say, have a look at Single-Handed Warfare and look for his playthrough of this and his Nuts and Bolts series on it, and you'll see exactly what you're getting with this game. And it's not super expensive. It was a bit more expensive obviously than the folio games, but there's a lot more involved. You've got a lot of cards, a lot of excellent quality counters. I mean, these are decent, thick, huge counters. The cards are good quality. I've sleeved mine because I know it's going to get a lot of play. And you get that added little touch which they've put in, so you've got Nimitz and a hair aircraft, so you can play out the end of the final countdown and be more satisfied. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll speak to you on the next one. Bye for now.